It gives me great pleasure to be joining you all here today. And I have to admit that when we signed up for this a few weeks ago, my plan was to come here today and talk to you about this fantastic project we have called Coffee, which is a high-margin, low-risk open-pit heap leach gold opportunity in Yukon, Canada. And it's an affordable project, and our intention was to take this project right through to development and use this as a platform for creating another solid sort of mid-tier gold production company in Canada. That all changed, and on Thursday we did announce that we had received a very compelling offer from Gold Corp, who recognized that Coffee really represents a perfect opportunity, an asset that fits well into their portfolio and their aspiration of adding ounces in safe jurisdictions and low-risk jurisdictions. So we did agree to a transaction. It's an all-share transaction where each share of Kaminak will be exchanged for 0.10896 common shares of Gold Corp. And that really represents a value of about $2.62 based upon our closing price on May 11th. And it's about a 40% premium on a 5-day and a 20-day basis, and about a 30% premium on a spot price. So Kaminak, its board and management, feels that this is a very attractive and compelling offer for shareholders, and we have unanimously recommended that all Kaminak shareholders vote in favor of the arrangement. The next steps for us with regards to this transaction, but basically the circular will get mailed here in the next couple of weeks, and the plan is to hold a shareholders meeting in July, and that would then allow the transaction to conclude sometime in August. So, you know, the deal is not done. It's not done till the shareholders vote in favor. We've got 8 weeks to go here, but we do feel that it is a compelling value offer, and we think it's a win-win for Kaminak, the Yukon, and our shareholders. So now I'm just going to go, quickly into what is it that attracted Gold Corp and why now. And many of you are familiar with the project, but just as a reminder, this is a discovery that Kaminak made back in 2010. We've been working very hard to take the project through to feasibility study. That feasibility study was announced earlier this year. It's a very positive study, and I'll talk about the economics in a moment. But so far, we've defined 5 million ounces in a new gold district for Yukon, and we do feel there's significant potential to add future ounces, and that certainly was not lost on Gold Corp. We are located about 130 kilometers south of Dawson, and you can see that we're surrounded by a number of good mining projects in Yukon. Yukon does represent a top jurisdiction geologically, and we think this transaction has helped to sort of renew focus, and we expect a very busy summer of exploration in Yukon as a result. The next slide is a quick animation, and it's going to give you an overview of the project. We're going to zoom in from 50,000 feet and have a look at where we are situated relative to the Yukon-Alaska border. Our property itself is large, 150,000 acres, situated adjacent to the Yukon River. As part of the recent feasibility study, we did include the cost to construct or largely upgrade an existing road route from Dawson at about $35 million. But we do benefit from good infrastructure already. We have a commercial barge landing site right at our camp, and we also have an airstrip, so we can work here 12 months of the year. Logistics is definitely favorable. Since 2010, a dozen discoveries have been made, but our first mining opportunity that's been scoped in the feasibility study is really focused on 4 deposits: Supremo, Latte, Double Double, and Kona. And what you're looking at there is the mineralization in red. These are variably oriented mineralized structures that are all part of a single geological system. And we're going to start in the west at Kona and fly towards the main resource area at Latte, Supremo, and Double Double. You can see all the deposits are connected, and you're looking at our current 43101 resource, which is outlining roughly 5 million ounces. The next view focuses on oxide. This is a key value driver for this project. This will be an open pit heap leach mine. And as we pop back to surface now, you're going to get a glimpse of our current plan to develop these deposits. And what we really like to emphasize with Coffee is its simplicity. We're proposing to build a conventional ridgetop heap leach gold mine. Mineralization basically will be mined from 4 separate open pits, and you can see with the mineralization highlighted in red, we're targeting 2.1 million ounces. That mineralization is then, and that ore is delivered to a crusher. We produce 2-inch sized feed, which then gets delivered to a heap leach facility, and reagents are then gravity fed to a standard carbon absorption resorption plant, and ultimately we're producing doré bars on site, which then get flown off site to market. The summary economics of the project are shown in the top left-hand corner, and you can see very attractive economics at a US $11.50 gold price and a 78-cent exchange rate. So $455 million of after-tax NPV at a 5% discount, 37% IRR, and we essentially able to pay back our initial capital investment in under 2 years. So very attractive economics. This slide is further highlighting what I've just said, so I'll continue on here. But one thing we do like to emphasize is, like all Canadian gold projects, we have benefited from the Canadian exchange rate, and this is a project that will also start to look very attractive as we move into a stronger gold market. So we're looking at our life of mine production metrics here, 1.86 million ounces mined over 10 years, averaging 184,000 ounces per annum. I think 2 key attributes of this project that really contribute to its economic attractiveness is our grade at 1.45 grams per ton. When Coffee goes into production, it will be one of the highest grade open pit heap leach gold mines in the world. The other important attribute is our metallurgical recoveries at 86.3%. That's a very high yielding recovery. Capital costs are about $317 million, so very affordable. This is assuming a 100% owner-operated scenario. And on the next slide, we're looking at our all-in sustaining costs, and this is something that, you know, is obviously very important for senior producers as they're looking to, you know, turning their minds to their future growth strategies. So the ability to add ounces is obviously paramount, but if you could add high-value ounces and ounces located in safe political jurisdictions, all the better, and that's certainly an aspect which attracted Gold Corp. This is again looking at our mine life, our mine plan. We're looking at year 10, and this is just highlighting that we intend to do some backfilling in order to access the easternmost regions of the deposit. I'm not going to dwell on this. This is our current project block model, but I really do want to emphasize you know, our target for our first mine plan, which is the oxide ounces. These deposits do not end at 250 or 300 meters depth. In fact, we have lots of evidence that they continue well beyond, but the mineralization at depth is not oxidized. So to get at that, it will require some sort of milling opportunity, something I think that Gold Corp sees as definitely a future opportunity for them. For Kaminak, we are very much focused on those red zones, very high metallurgical recoveries, and this is just showing you the difference between our 1-inch, 2-inch, and 6-inch crush sizes, and really demonstrates why we ended up with 2 inches as our optimal crush size. So on this slide, what we're really looking at is how our project compares with other development stage projects around the world in the heap leach world. It's a little bit difficult to see, and it's a bit of a busy slide, but what we're trying to emphasize here is that most development stage heap leach gold projects are located in places like, you know, western US, Mexico, West Africa, Eastern Europe. Not all of these jurisdictions are easy politically. By contrast, you know, we think the Yukon is a great place to be. A long history of gold mining in the Yukon back to the Klondike days at the turn of the century, and a strong supportive government. We've also been working very diligently to develop good relationships with our First Nations partners, and they've been very supportive to date. So this is a part of the world where you can discover and develop mines, and there's lots happening in this jurisdiction. Heap leach mining is not new in this area. Historical heap leach mining took place with Brewery Creek, and we've got the Fort Knox mine situated across the border in Alaska. And Victoria has recently permitted its Eagle Heap Leach Gold project just to the north of us, which is now ready to go into the construction phase as well. So lots happening in that part of the world. The other thing we want to emphasize here is again, grade. Very few heap leach projects better than a gram per ton. And then finally, we want to stress that heap leach mining in the north is not new. And what you see in blue is examples of cold climate heap leach mines that exist all around the world. This slide is again just focused on grade, and in this case we're using recovered grade, so grade times metallurgical recovery, and you can see that coffee is really second of the 32 projects that Brent had compared here in this example from Brent Cook. Project finance execution risk, this is something that we used to really emphasize in our presentations and now is maybe not so important for Kaminak, but certainly for us. And this really was part of our conviction in taking the project forward because, you know, as the market has improved and our share price has improved, you can see that this is a project that was very doable for Kaminak and is something that, you know, investors, I think, continue to look at. You know, can this company actually move it forward, or is it going to require sponsorship? So we didn't require sponsorship. However, you know, the value that was put in front of us was so compelling, we felt that this was a good opportunity for our shareholders to lock in value today rather than patiently waiting for us to execute over the next 3 years. This slide is looking at after-tax IRR and life of mine annual production and really again focusing on the scarcity of high-quality projects as we've emerged out of this bear market. And it's really focused on the types of high returns that exist right now in our peer group, and also looking at you know, the size of production. So basically the theme here is, yes, there are a number of projects that provide good rates of return, but not very many that can provide sizable production. So Kaminak really is in a small peer group. So the next steps for coffee, and of course this is all, you know, subject to review by Gold Corp. You know, we have not had a chance to really sit down with them and talk about what their aspirations are for the project in the medium to long term, but they've been very supportive of our strategy to date. Our plan, and the plan, you know, is one that we continue to execute on in the coming weeks and months, is to submit our project proposal in July of this year, which will start the permitting process. And if everything goes well, this mine should be ready to construct by the second quarter of 2018, with first gold anticipated by the fourth quarter of 2019. And that does fit very well with Gold Corp's you know, production strategy and growth strategy for the future. This slide is focusing on resource expansion potential. This is something that's been an important element for Kaminak going into 2016. We've always said that the current feasibility study is focused on what we see as our first mining opportunity. This is a brand new district. It's underexplored. There's significant exploration upside here, and drills will continue to turn. In fact, we will be providing an update on our exploration in the coming weeks, but we have mobilized to the field as we speak, and we are intending to get back and to test some of these higher priority targets that you see highlighted in and around the screen here. Basically, coffee was found from golden soil sampling. In yellow, you see all the targets in and around the main resource area, many of which have only had the benefit of 1 or 2 holes, so significant room to find more ounces here. And in this slide, we're just highlighting one of our favorite targets for the coming weeks, which is the extension or potential extension of Supremo T3. Supremo is our most important gold lode in the coffee deposits. It represents 70% of the ounces in our current mine plan, and basically that structure remains open for almost 2 kilometers north of the main pit, and we have got some good smoke along that trend with some nice intercepts, and we're now going to systematically drill off that 2-kilometer trend in the next 3 weeks. This is our current share structure. One of the reasons that coffee and Kaminak has been able to progress so rapidly in the last few years with the project and our plan for coffee is because we've benefited from having a good supportive shareholder base. Almost 43% of the stock is in good hands, and that's allowed us to continue to raise capital and de-risk this project to the point that Gold Corp was prepared to put an offer on the table. And this is our share chart over the last year and our current share coverage, and we certainly do appreciate all of the analyst coverage that we've had and the support that we've had from the broader community, many of which are represented here today. So to sum up, Kaminak has been, very busy in evaluating and progressing coffee. We think it's a great project. We think it's going to be an important producer in a few short years. It's in a great jurisdiction, and it's in a part of the Yukon which is underexplored for these types of deposits. So we see significant resource expansion potential within our claim block and in the district itself, and I think that bodes well for a very busy year in Yukon. And we wish all of our fellow explorers in this area lots of luck this year, and we'll be busy ourselves for at least a couple more months. So thank you very much, and I'm happy to take any questions.